Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tech Capital of the World. Today, Kevin, is the best day in the world to code. It's Coding Friday at lunch, and
Yeah,
it's a perfect English day. It's rainy, it's cold, it's wet.
it is. It's like home.
Might as well stay inside. Like nothing else to do.
It's
No
dark.
exercise
I usually
happening today.
have a window over here, and it's usually
know.
quite a lot of light coming in, but there's no light today.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
very
it's-
dark. So I
it's-
turn my light on a bit
it's
more.
very gray and rainy outside here in Kernersville. So
It is perfect day,
very-
like I say,
very-
perfect day to stay inside and code. And that's what you're gonna
stay
do.
Inside and code. That's what we're gonna do.
So
Write
let's
some
do
code. So
let's do a quick recap. Like what are we doing, and where are we up to? Let's start out with that.
We're writing this app called Obscura, and it's a movie trivia game based on the IMDb API. And basically, we obscure a poster and reveal one square at a time. And then, based on your guesses, you can try to guess the poster. And you get one square in the beginning, and you try to guess the title of the movie.
Okay.
So, based on the poster.
So
It's kinda
based
cool.
on that, then, what were some of the like common things you had to think about? Because I remember when we started doing this, we were like, some of the first iterations, we were like, wow, we've never seen that movie before. That was one of the things, like one of the data sets, one of the first things you had to fix, right?
Yeah. So one of the things that we did was that the votes had to be above 200. We noticed that even a movie came out this week. I saw it yesterday called Warfare, and it's got over 200 votes. And
Okay.
it's been out for like 2 days.
Okay.
So that means that even a brand new movie would show up in this result set. But if it has under 200 votes, that means it's really obscure. Probably didn't have a
Right.
release, or
Which I
it
suggested
wasn't-
super duper hard setting. Like
Yeah,
the posters
super
that are
hard
less
setting.
than they have less than 10 votes or something. That would be like
Yeah.
if you want to do
Yeah.
hard setting, that would be perfect, I think. Maybe we'll do that at the
Yeah,
end.
if you're-
I don't know. I want to
Yeah, if
see
you're
what they
playing
look like.
around, honestly, if you play around with the API and you want to play with it, and you go look at movies that have less than 10 votes, you'll see that they're just people out there they're just pushing data in there.
Well, that's what makes it ridiculously hard. You just
The one movie I saw was just this guy, Chris. I think his name was Chris, and it was just him looking at the camera like this, like it's not even a movie.
see. I'm thinking there is a mode at the end of this. There is the super duper extreme difficult mode that says maybe the win condition is if I show you 10 posters, if you get one, you win. Like,
Okay.
I like that
I
idea.
like that.
I think that could be
Yeah.
good because
All right.
the ones that are popular, like it is easier, and that's supposed to be that way, right? So we've designed it to be that way. Like it's supposed.
Yeah.
You see Iron Man, you're supposed to kind of know what Iron Man is, right? Like,
Yeah, right.
but
But if you see, as we learned, we saw Bad Boys in one of these questions, and we're like, which one is that? They made 6 of those, Kevin. It's like they made
Right.
6 Bad Boy movies. Like, wow, okay. I thought Will Smith was
forget
kinda
if
washed.
you get Fast and Furious. Like you are.
I know, yeah,
toast.
there's like 11 or 25.
You're like, I
of
know
those
this is
out
one of the Fast and Furious movies. I just have no
Yeah.
idea which one it is.
there. Mhm.
But that's part of the game, right? So
That's part of
yeah.
it.
So what's the plan for today? What are we? Where are we up to?
So let me show you kind of what we're going to do here. I'll go to my screen here. And so I've got this blurred out obscure movie poster out here, and then also changed the background. So let me show you kind of what I did, but I want to guess a title here. If I can just put a title in here. And what I want to show up is actual movie titles that show up down here as I type in, because what we want to do is compare the movie title that's on the poster to the guess. And so like trying to guess exactly the movie title is kind of hard. Like, so like you can have a word like the in there, or V2, or
Right.
like what is the actual title of Raiders of the Lost Ark? Is it Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark? Or, we know it's not
Right.
Raiders, which is what you call it typically. So like we want to give the user the exact title name, and so that we can verify if their guess is good or not. We don't want to have fuzzy logic or anything like that. So
Yeah.
we're going to build a drop down here that searches the API as you type. So
if I
and
just
I
put in the
fixed this-
character T, it's going to search for all the movies that begin with a T and show me the. How does that work? How does the
Yeah.
type head work? Like, what does it show first? So if I just put in T, is it popular?
Yeah.
Do you know how is it?
it's going to do a search endpoint. There's another endpoint on API that just does a search based on title, and it just
Okay.
brings back what it brings back.
So it might be alphabetically the first ones, maybe. Is that
It's quasi
okay?
like that. So
Okay,
like,
it's their algorithm.
yeah. So like,
Okay.
you just, it could be T. It could have T in it, like, just-
Okay.
I don't know what
Okay.
it's doing. So like, you know, but
it
it's not
works.
all alphabetical, but it does work really well. And you'll typically get, you know, the most popular movies in your result set based
Right.
on the title that you currently have in there.
Okay.
So
No, because you're right, because it wouldn't be just alphabetical, would it? Because if I put in, like, let's say the movie is called The Terminator and I just put in Terminator, you would expect it to pull back The Terminator, right?
And it does.
And it does. Right. So, okay, which is what you want.
So,
right. Which is
so it's not a simple starts with. It's more sophisticated than that, which is good.
Cool.
So.
Cool.
But you know, so we can see for the people here, you know, watching. So if I put a guess in now, it's just going to reveal these posters, and I think this is Guardians of the Galaxy.
One of them.
You know, one of them anyway, right? That's the first one, I believe. Oh, it's two. Look, I would have got it wrong.
There you go.
So that's so we'll do that, and then we may come up, if we're getting duplicates in it, we may come up with a way to like store up to 100 movies that you already seen, so this thing never brings back a duplicate. So we may do that today. We might not have time, but that's one thing I've seen as I use this a lot. Sometimes you may get the same kind of movie more than once,
right?
And I think
it's another one of those edge
posters,
cases, isn't it?
Yeah, I think storing 100 posters and say, as long as it's not in here, you can show it, is a good thing to do to make the game better.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I'm going to show you kind of what I did here, because I fixed this background right after we got off air last time. It's finally fixed, but
yeah. What was the deal?
What I did here.
Here's what the deal was.
So, basically, we have this CSS here, and I didn't have this line here position fixed, and so when this wasn't position fixed, what it does is it turns off the height and width in the positioning because it thinks it's relatively positioned, and this is a before container, so it doesn't have a height, and so the image was there. It was just like, you know, small. It wasn't like
I
expanded.
got you. Okay.
So like if we run this, I'll show you. I took that off, so it'll show you not working, and then we'll show you the fix.
So what's the thing with CSS? It feels like there's 25 lines to control one thing, and just one of them wrong makes it broken.
Yeah, CSS is kind of finicky. So like, you know, so you can see here, it's just a black background, and that's coming from this right here, this background. And what we're doing is filling around the edges of our background image because it's, you know, we want to make it look seamless. And then if it's comes up short on the height or something like that, then this fills in the color. And so basically we just say position fixed here. Let me get my home keys correctly or get going here. And fixed. And that, you can see it brings it in there.
There you go.
So the other thing that we did here, you can look at it too, is we play with this blur here. So like if you set this to 0, this makes this really in focus. You can see they're kind of like oil paintings back there.
Yeah.
Not really screens. And it's not really what we wanted. We wanted a video wall of like movies. But we also don't want it, this isn't the focus. It's just a background. So if we set this blur here, it just looks better.
Something to always look at, isn't it? Like contrast is always something to look at, and blur can help you with the contrast between foreground and background. You would never want your background to be the thing that people look at. So you can use contrast, use color, and use things like blur will kind of make it fade behind it. See, because now it looks like something sat on top of something, whereas before it looked like it was all on one plane, even though it wasn't.
Right. Yeah, and so like now it looks like a video wall back there, but we don't care what the videos are. It's just like kind of cool, kind of sets it off. The thing we need to do here is bring our logo back in, so we can do that real quick, so we can finish out our design here. I think we can do that. So this is in our obscure game, because before it wasn't showing up, so we had like a white background image, and then we changed it to black. So let's change it back so we can actually see it. So this will be up in our...
so right now it's there, but it's black, right? So we just can't see it.
It's black, yeah. Okay. You can't see it. So I think you called it W.
I think it's just W, yeah.
Yeah. And we'll see here. There it goes. So now we have our look complete. So now it's kind of cool. That's our obscure, but we can make this bigger, smaller, but I think it's really good like it is like this. So now we're kind of done with our UI. So I think it looks really good. I think it's cool looking.
Yeah.
So
see this cool type head. I'm excited to see this.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to stop this because we got a lot of code to write to make this work. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to write the search endpoint. And so the search endpoint is something that we're going to call IMDb with, and then we'll integrate that search endpoint into this page here. And then we have to do some really sophisticated things of like, we don't want to search for every character. We want to search for every few half a second or a second, so that you give time for the people to type in 3 letters or whatever before it starts searching. So you don't have all this, it's a noisy, and also cuts down your API calls. So,
Okay.
But, it should be pretty easy to do. All right. So that's kind of what we do. So the first thing is we've got this service layer back here. And if you remember, the service layer is kind of where we're calling our service here. So we got to get random movie, and then we just call this in here. We did all this work to do this. And so we need to write a very similar thing like this for our service layer that calls our search. But also, remember, this service layer also has an interface. And so we need to get our interface working here first to do that. So our interface lives on the client, because eventually this will get called from the client. Right now it's all being called from the server. So the service is just a simple, or the interface is just a simple, like, just tells us kind of what we need to return here. So this is a signature of the method that we're getting ready to write. And so what's going to return, our search will return 1 to many movies. And so this is a list of movies. And this is our movie object that we've already declared in previous things. And we'll just call it search movies. And this is going to be a query or search term. Let's say query. And then the page we're going to put in is 1. You can see Chat, Copilot's trying to tell me what to put in there. But this is what the user types in. This could be like the letter T, the complete word of Terminator or Captain America or whatever. And it passes the complete or the incomplete search term. And it's going to call this over any number of seconds every single time. So let's just make sure this is all spelled up. Right. All right. So we've got search movies. That's going to be the name of it. So now we can come over to our service layer here, and we can implement this interface. So that's going to implement the interface, and I can collapse this right here. Get rid of it and collapse this. So this part of it here is just my setup, has my base URL, doing my key, setting it up, so that I don't have to worry about this on each individual call. This all gets set up when this gets created. When this thing gets constructed, we're actually making sure that all of our calls are authenticated. And remember, the reason we're doing this in a backend service is to hide this TMDB key right here. So we don't want this exposed. So this is being proxied out of our server. Our client calls our methods, and so the user can't, with a wire sniffer or anything, see kind of what the key is being passed with our call here. So that's kind of why we're doing it on the back end. All right, so now we have this method right here that we've got to implement. And so search movies will call a brand new endpoint. But the way most APIs are put together is that each endpoint uses the same base URL, and that's true for this one as well. So all we have to do is make the difference between the URL that's in the base and the one that we need to call. So I'll just make a quick here, and I do know the URL. We could go look it up, but since I've made a lot of these apps, we could go look at the docs. But the docs will tell you what it is. It's called search endpoint, and we're searching for a movie. You can search for TV or whatever, and then it takes in a query. That's what it's called. And we are going to construct a query that's being sent in from here. So like this query has been sent in from where we're calling this from, and we're going to take that and stuff it into this URL here, query. And if you haven't seen C# before, this is like string interpolation. You've seen this with JavaScript, they use tilde keys on each side. So it's similar. It does the same thing in a different little format. You put a dollar sign in front, and it allows you to easily concat strings together without using a plus and all these escape characters. It makes it really nice. And then I'm going to just add on a bunch of tags here to make my search better. So I'm going to region, which means I'm only going to look for US movies. And this is going to match what I did in the random movie so that the titles coming back could be in the result set here. So I'm going to do the same kind of thing on this end. So you don't have to do this. You could make all this variable, but we're not. The other one is include adult, and we set that to false. We don't want, those kind of movies showing up in our search results. And language, let's see if I spelled that right. Lang-U-A-G. And that's en-us. So we're only doing things in English. And just to make sure, the region equals US. So what this is telling you, and you can read the docs here. I already got region in there, so I don't need to do that twice. I did that. So what this is telling us is we're looking at the region of the US where the movie was released at, and the original language of the release was English. So this would rule out like Chinese movies that were released in, so we won't see Hidden Tiger, Crouching Dragon in this result set. So, but otherwise you just get really weird movies that you don't know anything about. So I guess someone from another country would say, I want Korean movies in here because I want to know what's in Korean cinema. All right, so that is the whole URL right there. So it's pretty simple to write. And then this returns a movie response, and this is our models here. You can see I've got a model right here. Let's see here, full screen. And that's where that type's coming from. And this just tells me kind of what is in a movie response. And this just returns this type here. And so most of the APIs return either this movie or this movie response. Right. So we can say response equals, we created a variable there, and I'm just going to say await. And this is where it makes it really easy in .NET. I'm going to call my HTTP endpoint. And this is like fetch if you've used JavaScript. But like I said before, up top here, we've already configured this HTTP right here. You can see we're getting it, and then we configure it with the key, with the base URL that it's going to be called in. So it'll tack this on to any call that we make, and then also put in the headers automatically for us. So we only do this in one spot, and that makes it real easy. So that's what this is going to do. So this little HTTP here has the base URL. So it'll tack it onto the front of this, right? And so if you can notice here, you can see it's API movie or -3 . So we've got a slash right there, and that'll be appended or tacked onto the front of this, right? Then from here, we need to get JSON from the endpoint. So we'll say get JSON, and then it's going to be get from JSON, from JSON async. And then the type that we want back is a movie response. So what's going on here is it's taking JSON results that coming back from the API endpoint and then casting it into here. And this is one of the common things people run into, is that they don't know the type right here, or in the realms of JavaScript, sometimes you just put it in a var and you don't know what the type is. In C#, we have to know the type, and it's strongly typed. It means it knows the properties, it knows the names, and it cuts down on errors. So, and then we just pass it what URL do we want to run, and then we have our JSON options here, which is right here. We're going snake case lower. So I did that last time. This is so that the naming convention is capital R, T, capital P, capital TTR. And so it's going to pull those back the correct way. Same thing in the movie here, original language. You can see how that's put together. But the name coming from TMDB is different. It does a different casing. So we're saying, okay, as long as they're spelled the same, change the casing on the fly so that we can match it up. So that's kind of what's going on there. And that way you can have the naming convention in C#, and then you really don't care what the naming convention is on your API. So I would advise everyone when you're doing C# is to do this right here, have a naming policy coming back, and make sure you force the API to rename their elements to the things that you want instead of vice versa. Right? And here we can just say, you know what, if something happens, we can throw an error and we'll say search did not work or something. I don't know. We'll say research results could not be loaded. I don't know when exactly this happened, but it's always good to have an error because you can't write code and say, nothing will ever go wrong. It'll always work. Shouldn't do that. Right? It will and most certainly break at least once. And then from here, what this means is like it made this call, tried to make this call. This right here will throw an error if something went wrong. And so if we get to this line of code here, we know that, hey, you know what? Everything's good and right in the world. And I can return the results. And then I am going to filter them down. And so I only want results where vote count is greater than 200. Actually, let's just do 100. Be safe here. To list. Okay, so we're filtering these lists that's coming back from the search on the fly, so we won't get these like super rare movies in our search results that can't possibly be the answers because we're filtering the posters coming back to begin with. So that's kind of what we should match these up. I'm going to look and see if random movie, what we're doing, video vote count here, if we're releasing that here. We're looking at vote count.
Yeah, because I guess you could overfilter this part, right? Because if you overfiltered it, then it wouldn't, and the movie poster came back and it was not in the list. Yeah. That could be a problem, right?
So I'm doing 200 right here, so I need to do 200 again. So greater than 100 would be okay. It means that we could possibly get better ones. So what I'm going to do in my search results is error on the side of caution. And so I'm going to do 200. I could do 150 just to make sure. I'd rather have more results here that couldn't be a match than filtering out a movie that could be a match. So it can't be answered.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Super hard mode.
Oh, that's a good thing to
think
about.
Give you a title.
That's impossible mode.
Yeah, exactly. Beat this one, smart guy. So then they'd have to type it in exactly right, without this search result. So that is a whole API endpoint. And what I would say is if you're learning C# for the first time, or you're coming from JavaScript, or you're coming from around, you're watching this and you're like, this makes coding against these APIs super easy because like we do all of this technical stuff up front once to configure it. And then all we're doing is sending it a URL, a partial URL actually, and it's tacking on the hard parts for us. And so it'll just work. And then with this JSON options things, the other trick we do to make sure that the names coming back are formatted that'll match our object on the other end. And so that makes it super easy. So you end up with a lot when we're writing these endpoints against APIs, whether that's internal or external like this, you end up after you get it configured is just doing 3 lines of code like this all over the place. It's always return the object you want. You configure URL, you call it, make sure you got something, and then you return it, And this is even more complex where we're filtering it before we return it. So it's usually simpler. But this is it. That's it. That's all we need to do to search for movies. Now we need to call it, right? And we need a way to do that from our page. So we're going to go back over to our page here, and then we can call it, and we'll have this thing kind of wired up real quick here. So we're going to go back to our movie response here, or not our movie, our page here, our game page. And let's look at kind of what we have here. So I've got this, remember we have a controls container and then the game board container. So we're going to collapse this. This is where the poster is. We'll collapse it so we don't have to look at it. And this is where this form is. So you can see we got this form and we've got this input right here. And this is an input. I know it looks a little different, but like this is a standard, at the end of the day, a standard HTML input that the user is going to type in a title. And so what I want to do is show something when they type it in, and then they can have a list they can select from. So pretty simple. All right. So I need this on change on input. Like when they key press down, I want to call a method on this page to actually perform my search. And then I want the search to happen on a delay, like every half second or something like that. Do a search. Don't do it with every key press. All right. So we can come down here. We've got all these methods here that I'm going to collapse here. I got life cycle methods, game flow, and I'm going to make a new region here. And I like doing this because like I can have these regions here and I can close them down and I don't need to look at them. And so I'm going to make a new region here. And that way I can just have the thing that I want to look at. And this will be search and type ahead. It just helps me organize, especially doing stuff like when you're trying to like work on like really complex things. It's easier to do, easier to look at that way. And then I can expand this, and then we'll just look, we'll create a new method here. So I'm going to make a method, private async task, and we'll call this search movies. And what this will do is call that service method we just made, okay? First, we're going to say if the search text is empty, don't do anything. And clear any results. So this movie will return a list of movies. So if we wipe out the search results, we want to clear the movie list so that our thing will disappear. Okay. So I'm going to come up here and declare a variable, not up here, but in our state here, and see if we've done it yet. All right, so we have a random movie here, but we need also a list of movies, and this will hold a bunch of movies that is coming back from this search. So the search is going to return a list of movies, and we just want to do those. So just put it right here. Private list of type movie. And we'll just say movies. And it'll always be an empty array, so it's not null. In general, we want to make sure things aren't null, so we initialize things so that we don't have these null object referenced errors. All right, so this is going to be the search that comes back, and it's going to list a bunch of movies in this search. So this will come together in a second. It'll be pretty easy to do. So let's write a quick if statement. If string dot is null or white space. And let's look at the form model. And inside the form model, we can look at the movie title. So what I did there is, if you remember, this form, like everything in Blazor, has a model right here. And this model tells us what are the properties this form could fill out, okay? If you go and look at the form model, basically has two properties: movie title and release date. Movie title is the input box. If that's empty, nothing's in there, or it's a white space, then we're going to clear any potential list of movies that we had. So we'll just say movies dot clear. Else, we need to do our search, and we're going to call that method we just wrote. So I'll say try to do the search, and it's awaited, and we'll call our service. And let's see here. ChatGPT thought it was right, or Copilot, but it's not. Search movies. And form model dot movie title. Probably should have named this async back in my service, but I didn't. Let me see. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to have to make a couple of changes because I like being accurate. This is an async method, so I got to change everything. Okay. And if you mouse over this right here, it'll tell you what it's looking for. It's just looking for a title and maybe a page one. But since it's optional, we don't have to pass it. It's just always going to return the first page of the search results. That's the most likely movie for this title. We don't need to look 5 pages deep. It's either on the first page, and if it's not, you need to keep typing. So all right, and the movies equals the response. New. If that's null, we'll just make a new list of movies, a blank one. All right, something like that. And so this will return a list right here from our response. And if we go back and look at the service here, we're getting a movie response is what comes back from this. But if you look inside of here, results is the actual movie list here. There's some other properties in the response. So the API sends this back, and then we're drilling down into this one property right here. And that's why this works. This is why it's already drilled in our service layer, because this returns a list of movie, and then we drill down into it from here, right here. This line of code translates this movie response into this just list of movies. All right, so this will return a search list, and then we could put a catch in here just to see if something goes wrong. And all right. So something like that. This will write to the console. So if you're in a production environment, being a console log, what you would do in a production environment typically is there's some kind of logger service that you would write. Here in development, this will show in our console log down here in Visual Studio when we run it, if something goes wrong, and we can read it. So it's just really for debugging, but in production, you write a log in. We're not going to do that. It's kind of overkill for what we're doing here. So this is a search movies algorithm. It's just going to call the service, get a list of movies back. And now we need to wire that up to our UI. Okay. The other thing that could happen here is sometimes, because we're going to be uploading the AI, or not the AI, we're going to be uploading the UI, that this state has changed, may need to be triggered. So we'll see what that needs to do here. And I think I'm missing a bracket brace here. All right. All right. So sometimes with Blazor or anything like that, and you're calling these async methods, sometimes you have to say, hey, update the UI with whatever you got, because it tries to like keep down on the UI refresh as much as possible. But just in case, we're going to say trigger a re-render, right? Or a UI refresh. Right, and that's what state has changed does. Right. So that's the search. Pretty simple. And now what I need to do is I'm going to write a method down here so that when the person's typing, it'll call this. So we could just make it super simple and just like wait till they hit a search button in search, but we want to do it while they're typing. This is type ahead. And so we're going to write another method here. And this is where this gets kind of, I don't know, cool or complicated, however you look at it. But you've all seen these type ahead controls before. And it's the same thing in Blazor. We have these events that we can do. And so I'm writing this on input changed. And then the change event is something that's coming from the UI. And we're calling that E, and then we'll look at that kind of stuff in there, okay? So when this gets triggered, so someone's gonna type and trigger this, we're going to go grab the movie title. All right, movie title. And we're gonna look at the value coming in, all right? This could be null, so we'll just do it like that. And if it is no, we'll just go ahead and set it to empty string. All right. Now, this is where it'll get a little bit hard, Kevin. All right. But we need something called a timer. All right. And we're going to create some timers here. And the timer says do things when this thing counts down or counts up or whatever. So it's like a timer. Think of it like a stopwatch. I type and it goes, all right, search. And it does it for every half second. So we're going to do it every millisecond. But we need to create these timers to do it. You have to do a lot of this same thing in JavaScript because all this is the web. So we're going to go up here and create a timer. And we have all of these in here. So I'm going to go up here. And I'm going to create a private timer. I'm going to call it debounce. And you can see your screen here. It says this is from .NET. So .NET automatically gives us one of these system threading timers. So we don't have to figure out how to make a timer or anything like that. .NET gives it to us. It's kind of cool. And then I'm going to go ahead and give us the delay that we want to use this in. So we're going to configure it up here. And I'm going to set it to 500 milliseconds. So 1,000 milliseconds is 1 second. So this is every half second, we'll do a search. And then we could play with this number right here, and that'll get passed down into our algorithm here. So we don't have to hard code it. Okay. So I've created a timer, and now I'm going to use said timer. And first, let me get rid of it. So say debounce timer. I'm going to dispose it. So this gets rid of it. And then I'm going to make a new one. Create a new timer that calls search movies. After a delay. Or debounce delay. Now, hopefully, man, you're like, man, I've built control. Hopefully, you'll think I've had to get controls for this before. I've never really understood how it worked, and so maybe this will learn. I mean, it's pretty easy to make these things, but I'm going to go through the code here. So, like, the first one is you make a timer, and you say new timer, and in here This is an asynchronous function, which means it's called off the main thread. It's just going to call this thing on a periodic type way. Okay. And so this is what this is. And in between these two brackets here is actually what do you want me to call? And then the rest of this is setting this up here. And so this delay says, I want you to do this every 500 milliseconds. And then how long do you want me to do it? Forever. Every half second, run this method. Okay. So we call search movies. And then I want to have an inactivity timer. Let's say they quit typing altogether. And so our results will show. I want them to fade away after they quit typing. So like, let's create one more method here. And we'll say inactivity timer. A reset. Let's call it private void. I gotta declare it first. Private void reset. Inactivity timer. And then in here, I'm going to create another timer called an inactivity timer that will get rid of this one after, or get rid of some content after a while. So we'll come back up here, create another timer, and we'll call it a different one that's interact in. So we'll put it, yeah, right here. Private timer, inactivity timer. And we'll keep that. Come down here and we'll get rid of any search results that could happen. So pretty simple, right? First thing we want to do with this is, if we've got one, dispose it. And then we're going to say interactivity timer, new timer async. And then how do I want to call this? How many times does this happen? And I'm going to make it happen every 10,000 milliseconds, which is 10 seconds, right? And what do I want to happen in here? The user's inactive. I want to clear any search results, take them off the page, and state has changed. Refresh the UI. Okay. So that's how you make timers in C#. I mean, I know it may look crazy, but it's just like a new timer. This is the method that you're going to call. What do you want to happen when this thing triggers? And this is the mechanism. How long do you want it to trigger? Forever. And how often? Here in our case, every 10 seconds. This one is triggering every 500 milliseconds, every half second, forever. It's going to keep doing it, right? But this only gets called on input change, and this only gets called when we call this method. So it's not on the page all the time running. It's just when we call it, and that's why we put it inside its own function. All right, so now that we've got this reset inactivity timer set up, if we find a movie, I'm going to reset the inactivity timer. So, hey, they must be typing. So give them 10 more seconds if they've typed something. Let's see here. And I need to do this too, because this isn't going to work like it is. So then wait. I got to do this because I got to invoke it async. It's a little technical, but like it's just the kind of way it works inside of this async. So I got to write a method in here to do this. And then put our code in here. Okay. And then all right. So inside of this async method, we need to invoke this thing async. And so that's why we got to make this function async here to call this async search method movies. And that's what the await keyword is there. All right. So that's kind of how that works. I don't think this would work outside of that. It might. We could test it, but I know this works. This works like this. All right. So I've got a on input change, and I've got reset interactivity timer. So let's wire up our button to do this. So come up here, and now I'm going to work on this input right here. So this is the movie title. All right. And what we're going to do is write an event to call it. And this is really simple inside of C#. So what I can do here is right here on the input itself, on input, and equals on input changed. That's it. So now every time someone types in here, it's going to come down and trigger this method right here and do its magic with timers and all that stuff we just wrote, called the search movies endpoint, get a list. But we have no way to show what this is doing. So we do have a movies list. It's just in memory at this point. We need to be able to show it. And so what I'm going to do is put it underneath this validation message here. So we're going to write some show these type ahead results here. And this is just HTML. So all we got to do is get HTML in here. It's pretty simple. All right. All right. So the first thing we want to do is we can check in here if we have any movies. So we'll say @if, and we'll say if any movies. I don't know if I like that, but let's say movies. All right, so if we have any, well, that equals true. Do some stuff. So this will basically make our UI conditional. All right. And this will make a little bit of CSS that we got to do to make this work. So this is a div block. This will make sure that it hits right underneath this div block, and it'll be in block line. So like you have a little input, and we're going to put a div right underneath it with the results in it. And then we're going to use CSS to make sure it's always on top. So it looks like it's just popping up like a little pop-up. Okay. So we'll write a little bit of CSS to this, and we'll say suggestions. We'll just give it a name. Call this suggestions. And this is our wrapper. So this will make this relative. And then this thing right here will be our movie results in here. And then in here, I can for each, and I'm going to say movie in the movies variable that we created, movies. All right. And this right here should be, yep, obscure movies. So that is this variable we created, right? Where do we put it? Right here. This thing right there. All right. So now for each one of these, I'm just going to create an LI. Get rid of that. Okay, come on. This is why sometimes you want to get rid of Copilot. You're trying to type something and it just won't do it. And then for now, movie.title. We'll just do that to see if it's working. And if it is, This one, everything was green. I think it was commenting them. So, all right. So now we can look at this LI and it'll just show us our search results there, hopefully. All right. We need to do a little bit of work here in our CSS to make this work. So I'm gonna come over here to our styles here. And let's see here. Oh. Overlay block, poster overlay, poster. It doesn't matter where you put it. So put it somewhere in there. Let's just put it at the end. Suggestions wrapper. And this is a very common thing when we're trying to position things absolutely all the time, is you wrap it and you position the wrapper relative. So it'll flow in line. And then we'll come in here and the thing inside this box is going to be positioned absolutely. Something like that. Okay, so we'll work on this right here, top, as far as it can go, and to the left. Okay, and then I'm gonna leave this out now because we're going to have to play with that. And then we're going to ensure this thing is on top. So it's going to get 1,000. I don't know. It's probably overkill, but like, I'm just going to make sure that nothing, that someone will come back here and would they ever make a Z index greater than 1,000. So this will be always on top of everything. Right. I'm going to style this up. So it's going to be a border on it. 1 pixel solid. Something like that. It's kind of dark border that we can see, or we'll see what that does. Maybe it's not good. And then inside of here, I want a background color that's sort of white, or actually we'll just make it white. Yeah. And then this is an LI, but I don't want any kind of style on it. I just want a list of things that I can click on. And then margin 0, adding 0 just in case that LI tag is being kind of. And then here I'm going to say max height. It's going to be 200 pixel. And this just limits the height that it can be. So it's not going to fill the whole page up. I'm just going to make a little small control that you can scroll around on. And then you make a scroll bar by making overflow Y auto. So to make a scroll bar on it, you can scroll on it. All right. So that's our suggestions. Suggestions. Let's make sure it's spelled right. Suggestions. All right. And then for each LI endpoint, I'm going to set a little pad around it. 8 pixel and then a 12 pixel. This top, right, bottom. So the top is going to come down and the right's going to come over. All right, something like that. And then if you're mousing over, a little cursor handle show up. Okay, for that. And then inside of here, we'll make a hover. That's kind of cool. And because it's just the way it is. Active as well. All right. Suggestions. Okay. I think that's right. All right. So if it's active or hovered, we'll have this background color, and then otherwise it's this background color. it'll just set it automatically, whatever the automatic is. I think that'll work. So let's run it and see if it works. If not, we'll go look at it. Hopefully it works. What do you think, Kevin? Is it going to work?
Yes. I have faith. First time. Doesn't it always work first time? Isn't that?
Always works first time. Take bets right now. Okay. We know what this movie is.
We should.
If you don't, you just need to quit looking at movies. All right. So let's just type in, we know it's Star Wars. Let's just see if it works. Look at that.
I don't know what it looks like on your end, but the text is a little light against the white. I can barely see it.
Okay, so we can fix that. Yeah, so we can make it darker. All right. So we don't have our other thing yet. So let's stop this unless.
But the technical part worked.
Yeah. So we don't know what we're gonna do yet. So So let's look at our CSS here to see if we can get it working. So background color is white. Maybe we don't have a color set. That's what we want.
It could just be on the camera here too. I can't really tell.
It was pretty light.
Okay.
So I think let's just see if that'll work. I'm not sure. And if we have to, we can go ahead and put it up here, but I think that'll do it. Because I think the default color is that kind of grayish text that we have because we're in dark mode.
Yeah.
So let's see if it works. It did search though.
Yeah.
And that's Transformers. Transformers. And now you can see here, I've got my highlight. I can mount over it. It's a little darker. I don't know what you see.
Yeah, it's still really light. I don't know if.
Okay.
I have it in a tiny window, so I don't know if other people.
Yeah, I see what you're saying because I'm looking at the preview over here up in OBS.
Yeah, I mean, I can't read the text from where I am. Put it that way.
Yeah. Okay. It does work though.
It does work. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Question is which.
So now when we click this, we need to do something when we click it. So now if we wait, it's probably got an error going on here. Yep. Let's see what we did wrong here. All right, let's see what we did wrong. Something with our timer. This should just work, but whatever. Yeah. Did the same thing here. This has to be called inside of an invoke because we're doing this thing right here. I don't want this right here. That's a completion I don't want. Okay. So I'm going to fix this. Invoke async. Okay. And then I'll move this into here. It looks crazy. It'll fix up here in a second. And there we go. Book async. I don't know why. See what it's saying here. Let me get a. Comma. So there it is. Okay. Take this off. There we go. Okay, because I didn't have an awaitable method in there. That's why it was throwing an error. So I think this will work now. So it should format it. All right. We can get this set up here better. I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't format. All right. All right. So let's run it and see. We don't really have an action when it clicks yet. So we do need to do that. But like, it shouldn't blow up with our timers now. Okay. So if we hit star, wars, and we'll see if it goes away. It should go away in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it goes away. So that's the 10-second go away. That's what that inactivity timer does.
Okay.
And then it'll bring it back. I notice here, man, like that's kind of weird. I know you can't read this, but you know what the top Star Wars result is?
What?
If you had to guess, Solo.
Oh, that's funny.
The greatest Star Wars movie ever made.
Yeah, that is
Solo,
interesting. Why? Movie. Yeah. What kind of algorithm they have running against that?
Like, I don't know. All right. So what we want to do now is when we find this result, we click on it. We want this click right here to fill this up with our selection, and then we can hit our guess. So that's our next thing to do. All right. Let's see if we can make that happen. So we'll stop this and see what we have to do. All right. Let's see here. Because our search is working. That's kind of cool. And then this is not being set here. I thought that would already set it. So it is setting it. All right. All right, so we need another method here. So let's write one more. All right, so we'll say private void select movie. And we need to get a movie out of this. And so if we pass a movie to this, let's see here. Just like that. I don't think we needed to call this. We'll see. So all we do is here, if we select this, this will reset our title, which will bind our form. And then the release date will also hit our form. So it has the right release date and the right title. And then we'll clear this results here when we click. All right, so now we need to call this on click here. All right, so let's go up here. And where we made our form here, where do we do that? Right here. Okay, so this thing needs to have some kind of event that allows us to click it. So we're in here, we're coming here and we'll say at on click. And we can call functions in here. So that's what that's doing, saying make a function that has no name, which is just anonymous. All right, and then this arrow says, what is the code that you want me to run? I'll say call select movie and pass it the current movie, which is this title right here. So this has a complete movie title. All right, let's see if that works. Hopefully that'll fix it. I don't know that one. Oh, I do know that one. That's Captain Marvel. So you can see now I have Captain Marvel here. If I click it, what should happen here is complete this selection. I didn't do it in time. And it filled it out. Did you see that, Kevin?
Yep.
I'll do that again. So if Captain, and then if I click Brave New World, it fills it out. And this really helps when you're trying to do it. And then you notice all my timers in and it's not searching anymore. So we're good. And now we can hit this guess button and it can tell us if we're right or wrong. Okay. And then you can just get rid of this, start over. Captain Marvel. Yeah. Okay. Now, one thing that we could add here, and I think we will, is I have noticed that sometimes movies have the same name. So I'm going to say Bad Boys. And there's a bunch of these. So you notice these have the same name. Two, and then there's two of them are Bad Boys Ride or Die. And so you don't know. And so what I'm going to do to help them is, when was this movie released, which we have in our model. And so I'm going to add like a release year to it in the suggestions. So let's just do that. And so all we have to do is add it right here because we already have it. And this is some C# magic because dates are a pain in the rear. So just bear with me. So, and the data that's coming back is a whole date. I don't want the whole date. I just want the year. So I need to convert this. So this @ means I'm getting ready to write some C# here. And I'm inside of this block here, which is C#. So here I'm going to call a C# function that's datetime. And I'm going to try parse. And that's a method. And movie dot release date. There it is, release date. Scroll over and see what I'm doing here. And try parse has a couple of things here, a variable or parameters that you need to put in, and one is the out. And I'm going to say var. I'm going to call that date. So what's happening here is I'm declaring a variable right in here. It's a little magical. And then if that is null or not null, I'm going to say date dot year, else I'm going to give it the year of unknown. Because they're at the end of the day, they're all strings. All right. So that confuses you. That's okay. It just means that this release date is like year dash month dash day. And then I'm pulling this out as a date. So it tries to turn that string into a date. And once it's a date, I can then do something like, hey, give me the year of this date. And then if you don't know what this is, then just give me unknown. And then at the end of the day, it's just a string that's tacked onto here. Right. And this parenthesis right here is a literal. And so it'll be in parentheses. So let's run it and see what it looks like. So far, everything's working good today, Kevin.
Yeah, it's good. We're getting there.
Star. So now you can start seeing the dates showing up so you can better see it. It's probably hard for you to see. Wish I could make that darker. Let me see if I can make that darker and bold just so people can see it. Let's see if we can do that.
Yeah, it is really hard to read. It's obviously a light gray on white, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's see. It's just not showing up like I thought it would. So color black. Maybe if I put it here. black. That doesn't work. I'll put it right on the control there. And then maybe make it bold too, just so you can see it. I'd probably take bold off for a finished app, but like, just so the group, if you can't see it, no one else can. It's not nearly as impressive. So you still can't see it, can you?
No.
All right. All right, so let's do it right here. So this is LI suggestions, and then that's here.
By the way, John said, hold on, let me, John said he was about to type how smooth the code was going, but didn't want to jinx it, so it's on you. True, John.
It's John's fault.
No, it's not John's fault. No, you said it first. He's taking no responsibility for this now falling apart.
It's all John's fault. That's how. Spoken like a good project manager, you know, you blame the developers. So I just added a quick bootstrap class because I know that'll set that and sort of make it bold. And
there you go. Now I can read it. Yep.
Yeah. So like so you can see now Wars, and you can see there, look at that, Solo came second this time. I don't know if it's because I added year, but before that was the top search for this one, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. So I don't know what is causing it. See, if you say Star War, Solo comes before
interesting.
This. Rogue One. I mean, this should be first in any Star Wars search.
No, I liked Rogue One. It was good. Solo's great too. Yeah. I don't know.
It's no Star Wars though. I mean, come on, man.
It's good though.
Okay, so we can guess here, and so now like this just returns, you know, this is one of the Iron Man movies, you know, so we can type that in now, Iron Man. And one of these, maybe. So we would know which one it was. Who knows, right?
Well, I see War Machine, so let's go with, was he 2?
Yeah, he was definitely in 2. Iron Man.
Was he, or was it 3? I don't remember.
Probably 2. All right. So now we can guess. There it is, Iron Man 2. 2 friends saving the world. All right, buddies for life. All right. So what time is it? How long have we been doing this? We got time to do some more stuff? It's only 1:15. Yeah, we got time.
We'll do another feature.
Yeah, we got time. All right. So I think what we could do is we could work on this guess button to see if it's right, you know, and then clear this out every time they guess. And I don't know if we have time, but eventually we're going to write our guesses here and what we guessed. And then some hints will go here. We'll do that later. So we hit refresh. We have a new poster. All right. And that's what play it again will do. But we can start guessing here to see if we're right. All right. And if we're wrong, then we'll just put a red here or something like that. If we're right, it'll turn green. So we'll go ahead and put these guesses right here. That'd be kind of cool. And then I don't know if we'll get to a win condition, but like maybe we'll see what we can do. All right, let's see what we can. There's a lot to do, but hopefully we can get it done here in 45 minutes, so or a little less than that. So what I want to do is I've got the type in, I've got this, and we've got this button here, guess, and this button needs to like, hey, is the title of the movie what you guessed? All right, and so we need this button to perform a guess for us, you know. So when you click it, it's going to take whatever's in the input and try to determine if it's a guess, if it's real or not. So I think that's pretty easy to do. Okay, and what we're going to do here is, this is on submit here, so we're actually submitting the form, and so we're going to put this guess right here in this handle form submit. So this will post the form back, and it'll look at the values in here, and this method is what's going to handle this. So we'll just code it all up, and handle submit. Should be pretty simple to do. All right. Let me scroll down here and look and see if we've already written that method or not. Initialized async. Got a new game. There we go. Random square. Okay, so handle submit, show a random square. All right, that's cool. All right, so this right here shows us a new square. All right, but first thing we need to do is check if the movie title is correct. Right, and let's see, chat and Copilot. That's close, I think. We'll take it. So this right here is, get rid of that. This right here is movie title. We'll convert it to lower, and then we'll check to see if the random movie title that the person entered converted to lower matches. And that's a good thing to do when you're matching text, is to convert them to lowercase. Okay, depending on how they typed it in, we don't know, but we'll normalize both sides of this equation. The other thing, because some of the movies have the same name, we also need to check if the release date is the same. So we can check the form model dot release date equals the random movie release date. And since no one typed either one of these values in, both of these values are coming back from the API. We don't have to worry about converting them to lower or anything like that. We know that they're going to be formatted the same. All right. So if that's true, then everything is right in the world. And what we could do is reveal the whole poster. So we could write a method to do that. All right. So I'm going to write one, show random squares, and I'm going to write one here that's going to do them all. Reveal async task, reveal poster. I could put it all in there, but like this stuff could change, and so you don't know. That's why I like kind of like separating it, because you don't know what you're going to do here. So just go ahead and separate it for now. And this should do it. It's pretty simple. And so what this does is each square has a show property on it, show it true. So we'll loop over the square list. And that's it. This needs to be void because it's not asyncable. And where did we call this? So now we can say reveal poster. Boom. Be good if we spelled it right though. What did I call this thing? Okay, so if it's right, if we get it right, we'll reveal a poster. Okay. Let's just see if we can do it. And then we'll add the guesses to it, because I think that's all we need to do. And we'll add the guesses to our selection. So I'm going to let you guess, Kevin. You're on the clock here.
Okay, let's do it. Oh, something in time, but I don't know what that is.
Okay, so we'll use the word time here. Oh, there it goes. In time.
In time, sure. Go for it.
Boom! There you go.
There we go.
You got the one bomb.
And didn't even know what that was. That's that Justin Timberlake movie, isn't it? I did see it though.
Yeah.
So in all fairness, maybe it was subconsciously in my mind somewhere.
All right, let's just try one more here. Oh, now you got it harder. No words or anything. It's harder now.
Memento. I don't know.
Okay.
It's not, but I need another.
How you spell memento?
I think it's memento, isn't it? There you go, memento.
I guess. Obviously, we're wrong.
Oh, look! It revealed 2 squares though.
We got to figure that out. All right.
Interesting. I still don't.
I know what this is.
Oh, do you?
You're gonna make fun of me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I shouldn't know what this is. Awesome. I love that I don't and you do. Wow. Okay, I've never even
One
heard
fine
of
day.
that.
Oh, I'm
not.
wrong.
Oh, it's the theory of everything. I do know this one.
Yes. Okay.
This is the Stephen Hawking movie, isn't it?
Theory.
I guess I need the text for me to be able to guess these.
Yep. Theory of everything.
Although Eddie Redmayne would give it away for me, so.
Yeah. There you go. So that's it, man. All right. So
That's
we
cool.
do have we could add the guesses here, and then we could do that real quick because that went really fast. That was easier than I thought.
Go for that.
So let's go for that. Let's add some guesses here, and then you can see all your guesses. And then I think let's check this out real quick. I think
I did notice when the movie's, that's Titanic by the way, but when the movie's rendering
Titanic,
when the image is rendering,
wrong.
I noticed that it like shows one square and then tries to show another one.
Yeah, we got a problem there.
Okay. That's something we'll come back and look at.
But I think I want to see if this reveals 2 squares instead of 1.
Okay.
It does.
It did look. There's something wrong with our reveal loop somewhere there, right?
Yeah. So and then it's calling it. Let me just do one more to see if it's 2.
What do you think it's going to do? 2? Yeah, it did look.
Yeah,
2.
it's doing 2 every time. So we must be calling show random square more than once.
Okay.
All right.
That's a good way to test that, though, right? Is like do it and then see like what it's doing. Like, oh, okay, make sure that you kind of understand. That gives you an understanding, I'm assuming, where to look, right?
Yeah. So if we're good, we just look at this. No matter what, we show a random square.
Oh, there you go.
And so that means it hit here and hit here. So
which makes sense. Is that something to do with our initial square that we're showing, though? Or
I did that initially, and then I put it in here, and I did take this off. So this is what we want to happen.
But it'll still show our initial square, right? When it first renders.
Yeah, so that happens here in our initial state.
Okay.
So, but we've changed this to. I know this will never be null. So this is ID equals 0. All right. So I think, and I could break it, but I think right here we can take this off now, because when we first started out, we did the simpler way, and now we need to know something about render modes. So we'll see if that works, fixes that problem, and then we'll go and add our guesses.
Cool.
Because I think it was flashing a random square and then coming back.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yep. There you go. There you go.
Okay. You know what movie it is?
Nah.
Anybody from the audience?
No one's guessed. Might take a minute.
No one's guessed. All right. Let's see here. I don't know. Venom? I don't think it's Venom because it's yellow. Resident Evil Vendetta 2017.
Sure.
That's definitely
if it is, you win some kind of mystery prize. Somebody laying on the
Dune-ish.
floor. Nah,
But-
I don't.
Yeah, it is. He is laying sideways.
Laying on I don't know what that is.
The color matches Dune.
The title's at the top.
Starts with a H. Okay. H-A.
Is it The Hangover? Maybe, I don't know. What's that?
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Nope. Okay.
I do not know. But it's revealing correctly now, so that's
Yeah, it's definitely working.
So that's good.
The Ash Lad in the Hall of the Mountain King. I've never heard of that movie.
Oh, it's Hangover Part
Hangover
2. There you go.
Part 2.
There you
How
go.
come that didn't show over? How come that didn't show?
Because you had to get all the way in, look, that's why. You had to
Yeah.
put the whole word in. There you go. That was close.
There we go.
I just couldn't see who that actor was. If I just, I don't know, it's a little bit
Yeah.
small for me, so if I'd have seen that's who that is, I might
Yeah.
have been able to.
All right, it's pretty
That
cool. So now we
works.
can
Yeah,
show
that's cool.
we can show guesses over here, and then if we have time, and we can do it next week. Is let's limit it to 5 guesses, and you can't have 12. Anyone can get it with 11 squares. So let's stop that. Let's see if we can add some guesses here. So let's look at how it's built. So this is in my control tab here. So I'm going to get rid of. Okay, so this is the nav here. Okay, so this is the nav. This is the tab content. And this is hint 1. And this is guess 1. Okay. So we just have placeholders. So we need to create some guesses. Okay, and what is a guess? And then we'll have to model it, and so we can loop over stuff. So I think let's just put it down here in the form, maybe, I guess. I don't know. Let's do it. So I'm just going to, instead of making a model class, if we're going to save that from API, this is only in this form. So I'm just going to put it in this form. And sometimes I do it this way and sometimes I don't, but this is what we're going to do today. But because this is just really a form, it's just for this form. So, but everything has to have a type. So, we don't want to just pass strings around. And so what do we need to know about the guess? Probably the title. And probably the release year. And then probably if it's right or not. So that was probably it's correct or not. So we'll make a Boolean that says correct. And we'll set this to false to begin with. What did I do wrong here? Oh, this is bad. Copilot let me down. Okay, so basically by default, it's empty, and it's a false guess. Okay, so that's kind of what we're setting up here. And then these could be null, but we're initializing them, which is okay. So we want to make a list of these guesses. And every time you type in something, we stick this in here and then we set this to true or false. Okay. And then we can use this Boolean probably to colorize it or do something. All right. So let's go to our code at the top here. And let's create a list of guesses. So I'll say private list of guess equals guesses new. Okay, so that'll make an empty list of guesses. And then I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff here. Well, this is going to be difficult. All right, I see. All right. All right. So what I'm going to do is make a loop over here, and then I'm using a number here for this. So I'm going to need to make this on demand and put the right icon in there. So, we'll see if it's possible to do. I'm not sure. try. All right, we'll see if we can do it, Kevin. So I think I can, I could use a for each loop, but I need the number. And so when you need the iterator number, you got to use a for loop. So I'm going to set this to 0 because every array starts at 0. Why does it think it's a timer? Int I. Then, as long as I is less than guesses, dot count. Then I plus plus. All right. So for every loop, I want to make one of these LIs. All right. So here, I'm going to get a var guess equals guess is I. All right. Because this is an array or a list, which works on array, which means it has an index. And so this will give me, of the loop of guesses that we have, this is the current one as I'm looping over it. And then I can say if guess dot correct. And then else. All right, so I'm going to have two versions of this, one to be red or one to be green. So I know that Bootstrap has this, so I can colorize these things. If it's correct, I can say list, group. And this is just Bootstrap. And this will make it green, and this one will be red. Okay, so we styled that. This right here, we can write C# in here to make a conditional icon. And since it starts at 0, we'll just add 1 to it. So this, the first one will be 1. So B1, B2, BI1, BI-2, same, that'll work. So I'll put the right square in there, put it down here. Then all I got to do now is format this guess here. So I'm going to make this a span tag. Span tag will make it inline so it'll go side by side. And we'll say guess dot title. At guess. Right. Ooh. Release date. Want the year though.
What format is that release date in then? Is that day, month, year?
Yeah, so I want the year. So I'm going to change this and we'll just, when I create it, I'll just do that same date try parse magic. And I'll just change this to year. I know I will, so I'm just going to go do it now. So, so release year. Okay, so now what I can do is I'll come back up here. We'll get the UI working, and then right now it doesn't have anything anyway. So release year. Yes, year. Didn't like that. Release year. There we go. Type safety for the win. All right. So now, here. Boom. Okay. That's going to work. Got too many dashes here. All right. So it'll be either green or red. It'll conditionally make the correct bootstrap icon. I know those are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I just know that's how they are. And then when I create a guess, then I've got to fill out the object correctly. So we'll do that on our handle submit. So when we handle submit, we'll add to this list of guesses, and this thing will automatically bind to it, which is kind of the beauty of Blazor. So I think I can just come down here and just add it, and we're done. I mean, it seems like I'm trying to think through to make sure. Yeah. Reveal the poster, show a random square. So I should be able to do something like guesses dot add. Let's see, title, release year. Okay, so I gotta convert this thing again. So date, time. You know, it's a problem is dates are just a problem, Kevin. They're just a problem. There always will be problems for end of time.
Why is that though? What is that? What's so? Is it because just the?
They're just hard to manage because they're mostly strings all the time.
And I guess you can't do simple math on them, can you? Either. So
you if you have them in a date time format, you can do things like year add, days add, but usually it's a string, so you got to get it into
a
format that you can.
It's simply with time in general, isn't it? It's just difficult to work with in
sucks,
respect to coding.
You ever get rid of daylight savings time? You know, maybe. Time zones. I mean, that makes it really hard. You know.
Yeah.
What time is it? Depends on where you are. So, unknown. Did I spell that right? Okay, I think I did that right. All right, so basically it's the same code I wrote before, which I've done a million times. So this is a try parse, and it's just like, hey, this is a string. Try to make it into a date if you can. I just want the year out of it. Else, just give me the string of unknown. And this right here, this variable is declared right here. And then it returns either this or that. Set in there, so that should work. And then correct, we could just check it, I guess, but we've already checked it, so we don't want to check it again. But we always want to add a guess. All right, so what I'm going to do is create a new variable here called when. Private when bool equals false semicolon. All right, and then if you get this right, when equals true. If you get it wrong, when equals false. And then we'll come down here and just when. That's not semicolon, it's just. All right. So that should do that. Since this is a Boolean and this is a Boolean, we can just set it equal to whatever they have here. This does mean that if we do a new game, when equals false, need to reset it here. That's quick. All right, so we'll see if that works. There's no way that works.
Let's try. Sometimes you just got to run it.
You just got to run it and see. Maybe it works. If it did, I'm going to say We'll call it a day, Kevin. Say, I've done good today.
Yeah, you gotta.
Okay, let's look at our
top.
guesses here. So now we have nothing in here. Okay, that's kind of weird. What I think we need to do is this should always have a height of some sort. We'll work on that later. But let's go right here. You know what that is, baby?
Yeah, it's mask.
No idea. It is, isn't it? Look at you. All right. Mask. 1985. We're going over the mask
right?
of 84.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go 85 and see if we get a guess in there. Oh, look at that. It did show up in there. Okay. So that was 85. And then mask of the mask 94. Boom.
There you
And
go.
now we have a red condition and a green condition.
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see if it works on refresh.
That's it. Okay, so we haven't got our play again button working yet, have we? That's one of the things we need to work on.
No, we need to do that. Yeah, we'll do that later.
Do that next time. Yeah,
This
you
is
know
Dark
this
Knight
one.
Rises.
Yeah, I was like, you know this one.
Okay, so I'm assuming we'll have to do it with Batman.
There's gonna be too many Batmans, though. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Dark.
There you go.
Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight 08.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, it's not that one, though, is it?
Dark Knight Rises.
That's it. Yeah.
2012. Boom. One of the better posters of all time. So
yeah, that's good.
Okay, so that's pretty good. I mean, like, I think we should call it a day because I've been successful, and anything else I could
What's
just
the
get in trouble and struggle.
Next week? Where are we starting up? What's the next things we need to add?
Here's what I think we should add. Number one, I'm going to fix the UI so that this is always like
Always kind of matches height.
the height. Yeah, and so like we'll get the height of 5 of these things,
Okay.
and then it'll just push.
Yeah,
because
because it's resizing that box, isn't it? Which looks kind of moves the button, which looks weird, doesn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we should come up with some cool hints that we could get out of the data. I've got some ideas for that. So like some ideas where we could get some cool hints, where it could help you if you're guessing. Maybe get the play it again button working.
Okay.
And then if you win, this is kind of anticlimactic. Maybe some kind of like confetti or something. Horns blowing.
Okay. Something that says you won. Okay.
Something that says you win. So you feel good about yourself. We'll
if anybody watching the video has any ideas for features to add to this too, please leave a comment. Give us some feature ideas. We have some ideas ourselves what we want to add to this in the future, but give us some other ideas. Somebody had commented on the last video a couple of features, so that's cool. We're gonna add at least one of those, which we saw. So it's Monsters Inc., isn't it, or is it?
You think that is?
I don't know. The feet look that way, but I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure because I don't recognize the face on the right. But
I don't either. This is some kids movie I have not seen.
No, I don't know.
I thought it was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, but like
it's not that. It's some Pixar movie or something. This
Princess and the Frog. I don't know. I don't think that's it.
Go for it.
Nope.
No. Is it that lizard movie? What was the lizard movie? Wasn't there a lizard movie?
Lizard?
don't know.
Was there a lizard movie?
Wasn't it called? No, it was the lizard's name, and Johnny Depp played the lizard. What was that? I'm not sure this is it, but it was like Rango or something like that. I don't know. But
Rango?
something like. But I don't think this is it. Now that I think about it, although it might be. I don't know. I really don't know. So I guess.
Nope.
Wow, I have no idea what this is. Lots and lots of wrong. That's the other thing we'll look at next time too, right? Is limiting the number of guesses.
Five guesses total.
Five guesses. Otherwise, you're right. Having 11 to just reveal the poster doesn't really do you any favors, does it?
See, I have still.
I still don't know until it shows me. Oh, it's
still don't know.
Title on it. Okay,
Luca.
There you go. Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Okay. So John says, I think the latest guess on top. That way the correct guess would be at the top. Oh, so reversing the order of the guesses.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I like that.
I could see that as a feature. Yeah. So it goes down instead of... Yeah. So your guesses move down instead of moving up. Could be.
See, I ran
that's
out of
interesting.
icons. There's no VI 10 or 11. So
Yeah, that's
so
funny.
that worked.
Okay,
I
so yeah,
think-
we definitely
okay,
got some
so
features out for next time. That's cool.
We can definitely reverse that. That's easy to do. Just reverse it.
Yeah. Again, that's good. It makes it.
You have to figure out the
better
icon
usability.
math. So you have to be like,
Well, you'd be
the
negative.
end.
Oh yeah.
It'd be something like that. So it'll be guess one, but you're adding to it and not
Yeah.
but you're reversing how you display them.
Interesting.
So guess three would be on top. 3, 2, 1, counting down. All right. Well, I'll figure that out. That should be
Yeah, we'll
easy
look
to
at
do.
that. I like that. Thanks for the suggestion.
All right.
John.
Yeah.
Cool.
Any other questions for anybody?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, a successful coding day. Go eat lunch now. Stayed inside, staying dry.
Yep, that's good stuff. We're back in next week.
All
We're
right,
doing all
man.
of these.
Yeah. See you guys on Tuesday. See you later.
Catch everybody later. Bye.